Hi everyone, Adam with eTrailer.com. Today we have a 2017 Chevy Silverado, and we're going to be taking a look at a very unique product today. It is the Kuat Pivot. It's going to be something that's going to go in between your bike rack and your hitch, and it's going to allow you to pivot your bike rack away from the tailgate. So let's go ahead and show you guys how it works. We're going to have two different points of safety. One being a little arm like that, just going to pop down easy. But we are going to have a second little safety, and that's going to be this little lever here. So now we can just pull that, and we are going to get 90 degrees of pivot out of this rack, which is going to be great, especially for a pickup or even if you have a Jeep. But for the Silverado, now we have almost pretty much full access to the bed. Nothing's really hitting my legs or anything like that. So if we have a longer or larger load in the bed, or we just like to use the bed of our pickup like normal, with the pivot we're going to be able to do that. So that's, in my opinion, something that's pretty cool. But we don't only just get 90 degrees, we actually going to get 120 degrees with the pivot. And you just press this lever in again, and we're going to go out. And the nice thing about this is it does lock into place whenever you get out. So let's just say you're on a decline or something like that. You don't have to worry about this thing swinging in and maybe catching your feet or something like that, because there is going to be quite a bit of weight on the end of this thing. About 250 pounds. We can put a 4 bike rack on here as well. So I do think having that little safety feature to make it, lock into place so it doesn't move is definitely a plus for me. One thing to note on the bike racks that we can put on here, we do want to make sure not to go over that 250 pound weight limit, but also we need to make sure it is a solid 2-inch shank. So if you have a bike rack that's 1/2 inch and a quarter, 1/2 2-inch, those aren't the ones that we're supposed to put in here. So make sure you pick the right bike rack, or make sure that your bike rack's a solid 2-inch before you purchase. And all you got to really do is just push it back in to get it back into place. Done deal. And the nice thing about this is it really is solid. It's not going to be rattling around whenever you're going down the road. It does have an anti-rattle system in it, so as we put the shank into our hitch receiver and we tighten it up, it's not going to have any rattle with the pivot. And we do have a locking cord that comes with it, which is definitely a plus. So anti-rattle, check. Lock, check. So this thing isn't going to go anywhere outside of your hitch. And then also it still does have a little hole here for your 2-inch bike racks. So if your bike rack has a lock too, then you can lock your rack to the pivot, and the pivot's locked to your hitch. Another thing is I actually chose the NV 2.0, which has a lock for my bikes. So if I were to recommend a bike rack for you, I do think the NV 2.0 is one of the better ones. You can even go with the 4 version as well. There's a little add-on we can do, and there's 3 different colors. So I would definitely recommend this one, just because lock your bikes to your rack, lock the rack to the pivot, and lock the pivot to your hitch. I think it's a pretty good deal. So one thing to note, with the Silverado, the pivot is going to allow us to really use our tailgate normally with the bikes just sitting here. We're not going to have any contact down low or anything like that. So that's just another nice thing about the pivot on the Silverado here. There is one that's going to swing away to the driver's side as well. So whatever one you think you would like the best, might as well just pick that one. One thing to note, if you do have a Jeep, maybe do it to the driver's side. And if you have a truck and a Jeep, maybe just grab the driver's side version, just because it's going to be the same for the Silverado, and whether it's on the passenger side or the driver's side. So you guys just choose accordingly. Well, let's go ahead and do some measurements. I want to make sure that you guys know how much this is going to stick out. So if you have the measurement for your bike rack initially, all we're going to have to do is add this measurement I'm going to talk about right now. So from the center of the hitch pin hole of the pivot to the center of the hitch pin hole on our bike rack here is going to be about 12.5 inches. So a little bit over a foot we're going to be adding, and we are going to add about, I'm going to measure from the bottom of our shank here to the bottom of this one. So we are going to get about 2.5 inches of ground clearance when we use the pivot. So let's go ahead and just see how much we're going to add when we have it pivoted out. It isn't going to sit outside of your wheel on the Silverado, so you don't really have to worry about it adding width to your vehicle. But as it comes all the way over, it'll come over about 30 inches, and then it'll come out about 34.5 inches. So I'll just give you the measurements for the NV 2.0 as it is the bike rack I would choose for this system. So when it is at the 90 degree, it is going to sit out about 33 inches from the side of our Silverado. Well, let's go ahead and actually use the 120 degree. And this, in the 120 degree orientation, the pivot itself will be outside of your wheel well. So it is going to be, let's just say, about 8 or 9 inches from the side of our vehicle. So we're going to be adding on that a little bit. So if you plan on using the 120 degree and you're in a parking lot, just make sure that you have that extra width. And of course, the bike rack itself is going to be sticking out quite a bit more as well. So I will just kind of give you guys a rough estimate. It is going to be sticking out, if you have a 2 bike rack version, the NV 2.0, about 4.5 feet. So just be mindful of that. But who knows what bike rack you guys are going to put in this. I just do think that this is probably going to be the best system. But that's just me. Other than that, I would definitely say if you're in the market for a bike rack and you have a pickup truck or a Jeep, I really do think that the Pivot is an awesome product. I haven't had any issues with it. I've used both the driver's side and passenger side one, and I've also tried the Thule swing away system, and to be honest, this one is definitely my pick just because it's a little bit smoother to swing out and something like that. I do believe that you guys would be more happy with the Kuat, but at the end of the day, if you guys just need the swing feature, grab whatever brand you want. But again, this was the Kuat Pivot, and it's going to go to our passenger side. And again, this was our 2017 Chevrolet Silverado.